Hello, thanks for joining Strictly Money at the News Forum, where all voices matter. I'm Saijal Patel. Once again, welcome to our special Women and Wealth series. On today's program, we discuss divorce, how women need to plan for it, and the financial decisions they need to make to ensure they're financially secure. And we'll also talk about ESG investing, why women are leading the way. But first, divorce. No married couple likes to think that it could happen to them, but there's a 50% chance that it will. And for women, separating from their partner is not only emotionally exhausting, it can be financially detrimental. With her advice on how women can prepare to unconsciously uncouple is Holly Brady. She's a divorce financial specialist with Prospera Solutions, and she joins me now from Alberta. Holly, thanks for coming on Strictly Money today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, I work with a lot of divorced and, in fact, widowed women. And by far, the common comment that I get is how shocked they are with the financial hit that they take. And if they had known differently, they would have done things differently. How big of a role do you think financial literacy plays in being prepared and maybe cushioning the blow?
It's huge. It's for anyone, excuse me, anybody going into a marital breakdown. They need to understand their finances, and for both parties, whether they're men or women, they need to understand exactly where their finances come from and what it is that they're looking to split.
Yeah. And, you know, the other interesting thing, too, Holly, is I always say women are often fed this belief that talking about money is bad or wanting more is greedy. And I mean, men face that, too, but I notice that more with women. And, you know, my message is when you do think like that, you might not negotiate well, or you might avoid preparing. Do you see that?
Absolutely. I see women thinking that it's bad manners to talk about money, and it's something that wasn't discussed in their own home with growing up with their own parents. And a lot of that behavior is, instilled in them from a very young age. And I think that, the more that we talk about finances, the more they learn about finances, the more they're going to be obviously in the know.
Yeah. Holly, let's run through some of the mistakes that I see. One is they're aware or they're unaware of their marital debt. So credit card debt, maybe even mortgage debt. How big of an issue is that in your experience?
It's, I would say about 50% of the time, there's people that come to me with, unknowingly accumulating debt, thinking that the other party was taking care of the finances and that it was all okay, that they were flush.
Yeah.
And then when we, uncover all the finances, we go through all the financial disclosure and data, they uncover that they are, in, hundreds of thousands in debt. And it's a very scary situation. They have to take their head out of the sand and they have to face the truth.
Yeah.
So going from that perspective, then they are just, stuck at a roadblock of how do we move forward from this? And how do we, go through the next step of the process?
Holly, can you clarify, is one party on the hook for the other person's debt? Or does it depend? Is it dependent on jurisdiction? How does that work?
Well, it might depend on jurisdiction, but I know in Alberta, basically, if it's acquired during the marriage, then it is marital property and it is marital debt.
Really?
So
Even if it's in that person's name?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's where, you're going to get the proper legal advice and get, get a good understanding of what is marital property. But from what I've been working on and my knowledge, anything acquired during the marriage is marital property, whether it's in your name or not, or in a joint.
Okay. Now, we only have about a minute to commercial break. Another financial surprise that I often see is that they're surprised that they have to return to the workforce or their current job will not be enough to support them. What's your advice? I mean, what can they do?
It's a hard one because once they realize that, turning two households from one income is going to be a huge financial detriment and they have no choice but to return to the workforce, then, either they consider retraining or upgrading. And that can take some time and some money, and that can be negotiated as part of the spouse or as part of the agreement.
Right.
The spousal support will continue for a certain period of time while the training is happening, which is a good thing to support the family. And then, I think negotiating those wages with women, it's hard for us to really put ourselves out there and negotiate that higher wage because we have a certain amount of experience and knowledge.